Welcome back to the Men's Roundtable Series podcast. I'm your host, Mr. U. We got our guys in the house, some warriors, morning warriors, conquering
Good
early.
morning.
Morning, brother.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Better not deserve, man.
Everybody good?
Yeah, no, that's right.
Well, this is our last show of 2025. Kind of hit me in the feels, man. I'm like, oh wow, okay, went through a whole year. Wow, this is crazy. All right, so I'm excited about it because it's our last one. Guys are going to holiday breaks and stuff, and then we come back sometime in January 2026, smoking hot again, ripping it up, making moves, changing lives. All of the testimony that you guys, well, some of you guys haven't heard about it, but trust me when I tell you this. If you're watching the show for the first time or you're listening for the first time, this is not just another podcast. That would be easy for us if it was that, but it's not that. And people across the country, I'm hearing testimonies from everywhere. Not global so much yet, but across the country, people's lives are changing because of what they hear on this show. Men in this safe space talking about issues that are germane to men, and they're making changes. Life changes. Life is happening for them, and it's happening in the best possible way. It's because of you guys, the guys on this panel, sharing their testimony and lives and being transparent about what they got, what they get good, what they get right, and what they don't get right, and people are being changed by it. So I'm excited about keeping this going and for you guys to be a part of this incredible movement. So thank you. Just want to say that up front, man. Thank you guys for doing this and being here, man.
I appreciate you having me on with distinguished gentlemen. The diversity of voices always is important. Yeah, man. Thank you for providing us with this platform.
My pleasure.
Absolutely, man.
My pleasure.
Absolutely, 100%. Thanks for inviting us, brother.
My pleasure. All right, so look like Aaron's having a few issues. Come on, Aaron, figure it out, brothers. We can get you in here, man. All right, so we're gonna talk about now. If you've been watching, we started this in June, so it hasn't been a full year yet. But it's been more than 6 months, and it's been hot fire since we started. But we talk about issues that we believe are that matter to men, things that we have issues with that men naturally and globally deal with. I'm honest about it. We don't always get everything covered, and we have time restraints and stuff. But we always want to get into some stuff that's deep for us. And today we're going to talk about discipline in a digital world. Now, I know it's not a man issue, but because we're talking to men, that's the perspective we're coming from today. So let's kind of kick it off with just an idea, because I have a question about this. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this. Regarding multitasking, first off, are you a multitasker, and is that working for you? Because my mindset on that has changed over the past 12 months or so. It's been a little bit different. But are you guys multitaskers? Is that working for you? Talk about that a little bit.
I'll jump in on that one, man. I like to think I am, but in truth, I'm not. I end up catching myself all the time. I'll be in the middle of working on something, and then something else pops up, and I go, "Oh, let me take care of this real quick." And I literally have to stop myself and go, "Wait, stop, no." Go back to finish this, right? So it's an ongoing battle, man. I mean, people think that multitasking is like something to take pride in. I'm doing all these things at the same time. We can't do that anymore. Back in the day, like when I was young, and dinosaurs roamed the earth, everything was really cool, and you could multitask because you only had a few tasks to deal with. Now, with everything popping up like every 15 seconds, you can't multitask, man. You will get buried. And just
was it even good back then?
Well, I thought it was.
If you're honest about it,
now I realize
it was good back then. We thought it was, but was it really?
We thought it was, man. But
yeah,
now we know.
Anybody
now we know
else?
Better.
No, that's right. Anybody else? Are you a multitasker, and is that actually working for you?
I concur with what Rory said. I thought I was a good at it, and then reflecting back, man, I was doing too much. And I guess as time and experience and age hits us, we realize that our capacity to pay attention to more than one thing at the same time is just not there. So I try not to do it. And I have to remind myself to slow down. Like, stop, finish this task, move on to the next task. And for some people, it may work. For me, I tried it. I thought it worked. I wouldn't encourage it.
I don't know how it works, but the math is just not mathing. People talk about, I grew up hearing this, and it took me a long time to challenge it, that we want to give 100% to everything. I'm like, math-wise, I'm like, okay, so we're giving 1,000%. We only have 100. So how is that working? So I felt like, all this back and forth and this switching and this multitasking, we're not really effective. We're kind of giving minimal effectiveness in these different places, and it's not the full scope, I guess you could say. Think about this for example, before you guys jump in. As a kid, I don't know if you guys were like me, but in the city, kids were really bored. We had limited things to do, so I found ways to entertain myself. So I found out that a magnifying glass, you can magnify the light from the sun, and you can burn things with it. Now, when you're out in wherever you live, if it's 80, 90, 100 degrees, for you, it's like, oh, it's scorching hot. I'm melting, and you get real dramatic about it. But if I put a magnifying glass on that same heat you're talking about and put it on something, it's 10 times, 100 times more intense. And I feel like if you're multitasking, you minimize that level of effectiveness when you're focusing on that task. And I think I don't think it's just a men thing, but because we're talking to men, perhaps you can all share some insights on that. But for us, if we focus on the things that matter and be focused on those things solely, I think we come out so much better. It gets done. It's not an unfinished project sitting in our garage or in our office somewhere. Our wives are tripping over it because we haven't finished, what we started. But somebody else, go ahead and jump in. Are you a multitasker? Is it working?
I think we got to sort out the difference between multitasking and having multiple things happening at the same time, right?
Okay.
So years ago when I was working corporate IT, they did a study, and you could have up to 3 screens and increase efficiency. And that was when, screens were like standard 17 or 19 inch screens, right? So you could have up to 3 screens and increase efficiency. At 4, efficiency plummeted hard, right? And it was a matter of turning head and how many windows you could have open because it was breaking your attention. I have 2 widescreen monitors, and it's a wide throw on I have to turn my head a lot at this point. I can have lots of things open to support what I'm doing, right? There's a difference between having lots of information, lots of pieces to the puzzle to work with, and being multitasking, right? So push that to the side, because there are those of us who have like 6 programs open simultaneously while we're working or something, right? Have music in the background, have programs, right? We all have lots of tabs open and crap like that. Yeah. That is not multitasking. That is having all your resources available in one space so you can go through the task you're focused on.
Fair.
If you get into multitasking, you immediately have a drop in performance, period. Your brain just can't do it.
Yep.
Right? When we're talking about de-escalating situations for like relationships, we use a pattern interrupt, right? We tap into 2 senses simultaneously. So if you're in the middle of an argument with somebody, if you point one direction and snap with the other hand the opposite direction, it will actually break the flow. Why? Because your brain physiologically cannot handle 2 different neuro inputs on 2 different senses at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we do when we start multitasking. We're trying to feed multiple inputs, and our brain is going, wait, glitch.
Syntax. All right, Aaron, any thoughts, man?
Yeah, I actually experienced this a lot. I'm a horrible multitasker, but I'm also a solo parent. So it's almost required for me on the days that I have my kids to be a multitasker, because there is so much going on. And I've actually had a lot of conversations with my current partner about this, because I will have moments of just very like brash communication, because I am multitasking. I'm making dinner, my kids' homework, I'm doing all of these things. And I'm also trying to send a text message to, this person who adores me and loves me. And I am saying the most minimal words possible in the most straightforward way because I'm doing 10 different things. And
Gotcha.
it actually was affecting my relationship because she's like, oh man, why are you talking to me this way? And we had to have a conversation about how it's actually my issue is like, because I'm trying to multitask when really what should happen is I should be focusing on what's in front of me, my kids, the dinner, whatever it may be, and not trying to add this extra, communication in there and it going horribly. So, like this conversation, it hits home because it happens to me quite often. And I think, it kind of leads to a sense of discipline in what you can actually take on, and having that understanding that maybe I shouldn't be trying to send this text message right now, and that I should just make sure that I'm not burning this food, or that my kids are asking me for help with their math and that I can just focus on that, because it starts to affect other parts of your life.
Yeah. I think that's what everybody's saying. It sounds like, right? Anybody else? Additional thoughts?
Yeah. Adding on to what Aaron just said about dialing in on where you are, there's a reason why we're told not to text and drive. We know the dangers of that, right? That's as simple as an ask that we can do for each other as a society. So if we think about multitasking in that same way, driving and texting, don't do it. Minimum tasks in your house in regards to having a conversation with your spouse, not the time to be doing other stuff. Put the phone down, give them your undivided attention so that they know you're locked in. I know I'm locked in and I'm not going to misinterpret what was being said because I was distracted trying to do 2 or 3 other things.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Man, this whole digital thing, this is so deep. I wonder if we could possibly get through the whole thing before it's time for us to shut it down, because there's a lot to this. The distraction level with the devices and content it seems to just go on, and it's not helping that we got AI now. We got little tools to help us, I guess, do things more efficiently, I guess you can say. And it's like I did a little experiment, and I want to ask you about it because it's funny, but I could be condemning myself right here publicly in front of everybody by doing this, but it is what it is. But I had to ask myself, how many apps do I have on my phone? And do I use them all? Because I know in the past I would say I got all these apps that they force you to download when you boot up and whatever, but I got like about 75-ish apps on my phone. Now my follow-up question is, do I use all of these apps? And I'm like, I use almost all of them. It'd be easy for me to say I don't use them all. Easy, get rid. But I use almost all of these. Constantly? No, but I use them all. Whether it's a banking app here, I use once in a while, maybe once a month or something, or this other app for notation, and it's like 75 apps. How about you guys? Where you guys? I think I'm a unicorn right now. Am I the only one on this call that has a lot of apps and I use almost all of them? Come on, save me, guys. Help me. I think I'm drowning right now.
Brother, I'd love to save you, but I have a handful of apps I actually use on a daily basis. All the other apps on my phone exist. Like, I've got some of the smart stuff in my house, right? So I've got, the app to connect it to the plugin for this brand to connect to my Amazon device, because you have to have that brand's plugin, smart plugin app to connect it to your. But I have apps like that I use once in a blue moon. And then I have like 3 or 4 apps I use all the time, and that's it. But I actively, intentionally stay away from my phone. I hate my phone. I don't want it. If I could get away with not having a smartphone, I would absolutely just ditch the smartphone. I've seriously considered just going back to a flip phone.
I'll save you, man. I have no problem saving you. And let me just say, I'm not very happy that you made me just count my apps on my phone. Ignorance was bliss for me. Okay. I was happy in my ignorance until you made me just count them. I have 107 apps on my phone.
Holy smokes.
And just with a quick glance in the last couple of minutes here, I use all of them. for various, God, whatever. And now I don't know, I'm starting to feel bad about it, man. And you know what? I use them.
That's not the point of this exercise.
I know.
I'm just wondering where we are in this, and because this is part of what keeps men occupied in some areas.
Well, I think part of it, brother, is that if
downtime too,
if you have an online business, you know what I mean? And that's the other thing. I mean, I have online businesses. I've got 7 podcasts. I do social media management, all this other stuff. I mean, I've got like 4 pages of apps of just little things I need to use here and there and back and forth, and just editing apps and this. And if I need that art, I go here, and that art, I go there. And you got one app for some music, one app for a picture, one app for a video. I mean, there's all kinds of things you got.
It goes on.
You know what I mean? So you got to have all kinds of different accounts to pay for all kinds of different things in all kinds of different ways. It's like there's lots of stuff you need on your phone if you're working online. So, I look at it and I feel okay about it, though. I got to be honest with you. Number of apps, I don't think is the issue.
I feel like
I want to throw you that lifeline.
The financial level that you are on, I'm sure you don't feel great. I don't feel good in comparison. I'm like, well, I can't afford to do all of that. I'm like, wow, where am I at? What am I doing wrong? So I feel like in the reverse. Like, I don't feel great about it at all. Happy for you, but
don't get me wrong. I have a ton of apps on my phone. I just don't use most of them, except that I have the same reason Rory is. Oh, I got to jump on and look at this account. Oh, I got to jump on and fix this. Right. I only use like 4 or 5 regularly. But I still have a ton of apps.
That's the part, Brent. That's the part. You only use 4 regularly. I can't even try to have to put a 0 on the end of that.
Yeah, but you know
regularly.
How hard is it to actually like get me to respond to you? I mean, you're my friend, and I'm
not even going to do that to you.
So I just don't like phones, dude. You know what it was? I had that wake up call, and I realized how much time I was spending on my phone, and so my brain has just flipped a switch where I try not to touch it at this point because I realized how much time I was spending on it.
That's fair. Aaron, Steve, I don't know what you want to answer at this point. Where you guys at with this? This is a thing, isn't it?
For me, it's really interesting, and I think I came into this talking about being a parent, but my kids are our biggest mirrors, and they actually are really good about calling me out when I'm on my phone. And, so that has been a big sort of it's been a big, big reckoning, so to speak, because attention that's the biggest value, right? Like we live in a day and age where currency is not actually money. It's attention. It's what apps you're using, what shows you're watching. And it also applies in your household. Are you paying attention to your phone, or are you paying attention to the person that's right in front of you at the dinner table? And my kids are really quick at being like, Dad, get off your phone. So for me, it's like, I run an online business. I have to use all of these things. I'm on social media, I'm promoting, all of these advertising, all that kind of stuff. But I have to be conscious about how much I use that, and when I use it, and when I'm in, especially when I'm around my kids. My son will be like, put your phone down. 10 years old, he has no filter whatsoever. And he calls me out. And, I think that's kind of a really good commentary to where we are in this world, like the younger generation and how much time we spend on these digital devices. Because they don't have a filter. They're not going to just let you, do it. At the same time, how often, I'd love to ask all of you guys, is like, how often are you in a conversation with somebody, say at a coffee shop or something, and somebody is in the conversation, shaking their head, listening to you, but also on their phone doing something else? To me, that just burns me up inside. I'm like, man, just pay attention. Like you can do.
I'm with Aaron, man. I don't like when that happens, man.
Exactly. But it's and it may just be me being in my 40s and being the grizzled, turning into that grizzled old man, because I feel like the younger generation is like, they're completely more attuned to multitasking and being able to actually have this conversation and be doing things on their phone and have complete attention. and understand and retain everything that you're, I could be wrong. Maybe they're good at faking it, but that's like, it's really common for that to happen. And it just like, it really gets me, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if the issue is the number of apps that we have. I like to use a lot of practical analogies, right? We all have tools, right? In our shed or our, garage. Do you ever ask yourself how many tools do you have?
No.
Most of the time we don't.
Not
and
enough.
We have tools for specific things, because when you need a tool and you don't have it, you got to go get it. I think of apps the same way, right? They are all tools in my toolbox. When I need to pull them out, I can pull them out. Some I use more frequently than others. Others, they're just there, and I may need them or I may not. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just depends on how much time you choose to give to the one or two. So if you're using 4 and you're using 4 too much, that's as bad as having 200 apps, So that's where I would come down on it.
Thank you,
the
Steve.
minds behind the app store are going to make you their mascot. So
Yeah.
like, thank you, Stevie. That's why we did it because of you.
Well, to tag in back to what Aaron said as well in regards to our attention span, I think when we were younger, we did think we had the ability to multitask and do multiple things, because our brain is young, it's fresh, and our hard drive was able to process more at a faster rate. As you get up in age, that processor don't work as good as the newest Intel processing chip, right? We still may have a Windows 2000 processor.
Oh boy.
And it's only going to get worse, the older we get. So we have to actually, in order to be effective in our communication, we almost have to tell ourselves, stop, give this person or this thing my attention, because that's all the hard drive space that I have for this thing.
It's all about capacity, man. Let's keep moving to the discipline aspect of the discussion, because I think that's one thing that, I know men that have any kind of exposure to the military, they know the word discipline and they get what it looks like, and they live as regimented a lifestyle, I guess, as you can based on their circumstances. But how do you guys guard your attention as a man when it comes to content devices? What kind of safeguards do you put in? Aaron has his kids to kind of be his security guards and everything, but beside that, what do you guys do as safeguards to kind of protect against, the fall into a lack of discipline when it comes to content and devices and your time spent in the digital world?
I'll jump right in on that one.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's all about my actual purpose and goals. I have just, and it's come with age and experience. I have, this is my priority box and these are my goals. And if it's not feeding those, that is my guardrails. Anything that's not feeding the things that are actually truly important, the goals, the purposes, the principles I live by, right? My family is high up on that. Time with my family, being a good dad is time up on that, right? If it doesn't feed those goals, everything in my life is either taking from me or it's giving to me. And if it's not giving towards what I'm going towards, that's the guardrails.
I love it.
My social media app folder is labeled time suck. Like I have a folder, it says time suck, and all my social media apps are in it. So I have one more, that's just the only guardrail I have on my phone is that one more reminder that I'm clicking on something that just spells out, this is a time suck. Like this is going to waste your time.
Yeah. I love that. I absolutely love that. Brent, I'm one of these guys, man. I'm this guy, right? This is my to-do list still on paper. I have about 19 of these in a box. You know what I mean? And I'll go get more when I need them. But I even clock what I got to do on social media on that. Yep. There you go. See, because if I have to be on my phone in an app, taking the notes on what I'm doing to try and avoid being in another app, then I'm already in the rabbit hole. So by keeping it on paper, it keeps me separate from that. So if I have to go into Facebook to do posts for myself, or I have to go into Instagram to do posts for one of my clients or something, I'm going in there on purpose. And there's a box, that says, go do the Instagram load for, Yusef on this day and this time. And I'm completing the task. So when I'm done, I'm checking that box and I'm getting out of that app, and so that's the discipline, I think, of like going in and getting out in terms of our time. I love the question, because you could go anywhere you want with that in terms of the discipline portion of it, because we have to have discipline about what we're looking at while we're in there. We have to have discipline about, how long, and we have to have discipline about, what's going on outside of us when we're in there doing whatever it is we're doing. So there's a ton of ways you could take that question, but I just wanted to, applaud Brent's, because that's key. If you don't keep on track of your priority, like why the heck are you on social media in the first place, or in that app in the first place? They're all designed to keep you stuck. They're all designed to suck you in and keep you there. So it's a battle, man.
The Instagram scroll thing is a real thing, man. See a funny video, and guess what they do? They put you in the loop, and they got videos just like it, and it's like a whole hour has passed. Not cool.
Yep.
All right, who else?
Yeah, I think everybody has to have their own measure of discipline in regards to doing what you need to do to maximize your time and not waste a lot of time. Sure, there's time for leisure and scrolling and that kind of stuff, but it has to be like an internal clock that says you've been on this app too long. You've been listening to these podcasts too long. And we all know people who set time limit restrictions on their devices. And then when the time limit comes up and says you've been on this thing too long, you hit snooze, or you just turn it off and keep scrolling. I don't count that as discipline. And I don't know what the right answer is. Everybody has to individually figure out how much time you're going to spend on these things. And Rory was absolutely right. What you're looking at, and having the discipline not to click this video or click this link for moral reasons, for safety reasons, for financial protection, because we are all bombarded all the time with somebody encouraging us to do something by clicking on a link. And then that link leads to another link where somebody may be trying to scam you out of your money. And that is a deterrent for me. I can't give it all that. I have too many other things going on to give social media, technology, all of my time and attention. I shut down. I disconnect for 2 or 3 days, and I'm good with that.
I love it. Sorry for the background noise. The office is next to a flight school, so yay. All right. All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of wanted to add what Steve said. Is I was that guy. I had all those apps that, that would cut off my time. I think the funniest one for me was, I bought that app that made me do push-ups in order to open up the certain apps that you wanted, and you had a time limit, and then you had to do more push-ups in order to
pay for play.
And they never work. Like, it doesn't work. You like you said, Steve, you push right past that, and then you hit the snooze and you keep going. But for me, I think the discipline comes in just getting off the phone. I lock it in a box, or I force myself to go outside and just not be around, not have it in my pocket, not be subjected to the feeling of a notification buzzing in your pocket, or just getting it away from me. And I was talking to my partner actually yesterday. I'm a surfer, and I'm teaching my girlfriend how to surf, and she was having a really rough day yesterday, and we went out into the water, and she, got rocked by a wave, and she's just learning. So it was pretty traumatic. And one of the things that she was saying, she's like, I'm done. Like, this is just horrible. I'm feeling rocked right now. And I said, just give it some time, because being in nature is going to shift your perspective, right? And about a half hour, 45 minutes later, we were talking about other things and caught a couple waves, and she goes, man, I feel so much better. And I said, yeah. I said, this is one of the only places where you have to be present because you're in the ocean. You can't take your phone into the water. So you have to sit there and you have to be in the middle of the ocean, not in the middle of the ocean, but on the edge of the coast. And you have to sit and wait for a wave to come for you to then physically try to catch it and ride it. And just in being present and sitting forces you to not want to disassociate and scroll and do these things. So for me, that discipline comes in time and nature, and just not taking my phone with me and not allowing, like forcing myself to actually be distant from that device that can control, that is wired to and made to control our currency of attention.
Aaron just blew the lid off the secret to all this, guys, right here. If you're busy living, your phone rarely distracts you. If you're actually busy living a life that is worth living, you're not as prone to actually surf the internet or get lost in your phone because you're busy living.
I love it. Wow, this conversation gets pretty deep. All right, so it leads us to a conversation about boundaries, because there's no way to not touch this based on where we're already heading right now. Have you guys already started to create boundaries for yourself as a man? And I don't mean just what we're talking about so far, but just because of what the things that we deal with, that we talked about many times on this broadcast. Have you guys started to create boundaries? What's that look like? What kind of boundaries have you created? Let's talk about that for a little bit.
I don't want the perception of anything nefarious going on. That's my boundary. I'm not DMing nobody. I ain't clicking on their picture and doing too many likes, because the last thing I want is my wife to see something and read more into it than what it is. And then now it's creating a problem in our relationship that is totally avoidable just by me having the discipline enough not to respond to certain things or respond to them in a certain way, because they could be misinterpreted and I don't want to send out the wrong kind of signal. So it ain't easy, but you got to know what you're dealing with, who you're dealing with, and how the person you're in relationship with is going to respond to your online activity and the things you're clicking on and watching, etc.
Love it. Who else?
You said boundaries. This whole conversation started with devices and stuff like that. I had a wake up call when I was sitting with my daughters a couple of years ago. I have one afternoon a week that's just theirs. Nothing else happens. I block it out. It's their time, right? I was sitting watching a movie with my daughter that I have seen probably 100 times. Her and I watched it. If you have kids, you've got those movies. I love and hate Disney at moments, right? Because we all went through those movies, right? Watched Frozen 1,000 times.
Oh boy,
right? I was sitting watching.
That's the rabbit hole,
right? I was sitting watching a movie with my daughter, and it was a movie we'd seen tons of times. And she reached over and put her hand on my phone and pushed my hand down. I said, "What's up, baby?" She said, "You said you were hanging out with me." I said, I'm right here, baby. You're cuddled up with me, right? We've seen this before. She said, "You're supposed to be here with me." I said, "Do I need to put my phone down?" And that was the whole start of this digital discipline for me. And that was about 2.5, 3 years ago now. And that bleeds into the boundaries for me start setting in, because it's taking time to learn that my attention is the most valuable asset I have. Right? I have 2 daughters, my wife, and my mom lives with us. She's 74. I have 4 people who want my attention all the time. And I make my living on social media, on YouTube, on podcasting, right? That's where so the world is fighting for my attention. I'm fighting to keep their attention, but I have 4 ladies in my life who want my attention constantly, right? And we won't even talk about my dog, who is just an attention whore, but
Wow.
We all have that. Well, we all have the dog, right? The dog is my best friend. She loves me more than I love her, I'm pretty sure. But everything is fighting for my attention all the time. And so it took a couple years. I'm a slow learner to realize that my attention is my absolute most valuable asset. And so I started setting in on just hard boundaries. You and I were talking on the side. No, I don't get email notifications on my phone. I get text messages. I only get text messages from certain people. I get phone calls, and I get my alarm clock. And that's the only notifications on my phone, despite having way too many apps. Because I'm like Rory. I've been sitting here counting now since you asked.
That's great. That's great.
I only use 4 or 5, but I got way more than that.
How are you doing it?
Right. I don't have notifications coming. I have notifications on my computer, not on my phone, because my phone goes with me places. And I don't.
But you'll be at the computer longer because everything's going over there. It's like we're not avoiding this.
Once I walk away from my computer, I'm done. I walk away from it.
That's why they get a response back.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard boundaries, and it all because I have 2 little girls and a wife who wants my attention constantly.
No doubt.
And our schedules are insane. And so I protect those boundaries really, really hard from the outside, because I realized that day with my daughter that things were taking my attention that had no value in my life were stealing my attention from my kids. And so I started this whole crusade, and I've been setting boundaries in place. When I walk away from my computer, I don't get notifications from my computer. When I'm on my phone, I don't get notifications. If you call me, I'm going to hear that. That's about it, right? And it's because I choose where my attention goes now. I've certainly been guilty. Like, I've jumped on Instagram. Instagram is my weak spot. I can doom scroll really easy. I'll jump on there to do a post, and then I'll see something and start that doom scroll, and it's like, nope, oh, right. And I will go move my phone to another room.
It's not easy.
Everything wants it. You have to figure out the boundary, and the most important boundaries you set are those that protect your attention. Everything else is going to fade out.
I love it. Thank you, sir.
Aaron, go for it, man. I'll go later.
Oh, no, you go, Rory.
You guys are going to fight over who's going to go? I mean, that what we're doing? Really? You guys are both.
All right, you're killing me, Aaron. I was trying to be polite. All right. All right. I'm actually really proud of myself on this one, and I don't get that often. But because my wife and I have been working on this for a long time. When we had 3 kids, and they all did sports, and so we, for a very long time, had kind of one of those rules, like where we limited stuff. At the sporting event, it was really important to make it there, and we found out pretty quick, well, if you're there and you're on your phone, then you're not really there. And so, phone's only for pictures. You take the picture, you put it away. And if we're at a football game, the whole family's there with us, so no one's going to call me about anything that's an emergency. My whole family's at the game, so phones are off, like all the way off, not even on silent, just off.
Oh, wow.
So that we can be present in their events. It was easy to start that way because they were set events. And my kids were all, big athletes. So it was like, all right, football, track, whatever, no phone. Then we were able to take that over into, hey, we go to dinner, phone's in the middle, stuff like that. My boys jumped on that, and they started doing that in their own lives. And so, we go to dinner with them a few weeks ago, and my youngest son, without anybody saying anything, he and his wife just put the phone in the middle of the table. And they lead the way with it. And I'm like, oh, look at that. So me and the wife are pulling our phones out, putting it in the middle of the table. It's like, all right, cool. Once you establish it and you realize the importance of it, like, Brent said, once you get the idea that it's important, then it's just repetition, and then it's just set that boundary and move on. Especially when you have an online business, you absolutely could get contacted every 5 seconds about something that needs attention. And if you don't stop, I mean, you're going to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so you gotta just stop.
Yeah.
And now my wife and I are working on the stuff with just us. So, Sunday's my day where I don't schedule anything, phone is minimal. And then we have those times when we're like having dinner or doing something together, and it's like, phone's off, forget it. You're not going to reach me on a Sunday 9 times out of 10. So just how it goes. But it takes a little while to get there. But once you have that big moment like Brent had, where, I mean, you're brought to tears by your kid, it's like, there's no discussion after that. It's like, boom, done, boundary.
Yeah, it's hard to. There's no comeback for this. All right, Aaron, go ahead, man. Good stuff, Rory. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
I think what I'm hearing from both of you guys, Brent and Rory, is this idea that, you know, it's something that's important with boundaries is you can set a boundary, but it's also really important to hold the boundary. And I actually believe that's the most important aspect of boundaries, because you can say, oh, I'm not going to do this, or I don't like this behavior. And then somebody will just bulldoze that, and then you allow it. And now that boundary is completely gone. Right. So for me, it's like holding that boundary, setting that standard. Like Rory said, like you taught your kids to hold that boundary to where they're now holding it for you by just quietly setting the phone, your son quietly setting the phone on the table, and in doing that, instructing everyone else to do it. Like that's phenomenal. But I think it's just important to actually hold the boundary. Like, and unfortunately, when we're talking about, you know, digital age and the use of immediacy in apps and text messaging and things like that, it's actually kind of hard to hold the boundary because people have an expectation that you have your phone in your pocket. Why can't you just respond back to me right now? I know you saw it, you know, and I think that like people need to be reminded that we actually have the ability to not respond right away. Like that's our choice as people. And, you know, I may see it, but I don't actually have to respond. I can take some time. I can take what time I need to come up with a very logical response or put some thought into how I'm going to respond to this. Or I may actually be with my kids and not want to deal with that right now. Like that's my choice. And that's my boundary to hold, you know, and it's something that now with phones and pocket compute, you know, I like to call them pocket computers, that we lose that idea that we lose agency in choosing when we respond.
I love it.
Great point. If I could add on real quick, depending on what stage you are in your life and what your career is, sometimes it's really hard to disconnect because there's a constant need to be accounted or be reached. Prime example, in the military, I never disconnected. I was always on duty 24 hours a day. I needed to be reached in case. Once I shifted, or once I retired, and now that I'm teaching full time, my students have I had to set boundaries with my students and give them instructions that were clear, concise, and to the point. I replied to emails promptly, except on assignment due date. Do not send me an email between 5 o'clock and midnight on assignment due date because I'm not responding. I had to set that boundary, and then I found the quality of assignments started improving. The early submission of assignments started getting better because I set that boundary. And I'm like, wow, if I could set a boundary for my students, then I need to set other boundaries in responding to other people and other things. So I think disconnecting and not responding or feeling the need to respond is so important because everything in this world needs to unplug at some point. It may be for 30 minutes, it may be for several hours, but we have to pick and choose when to disconnect, and knowing that disconnecting is so important to our mental health.
I love it, love it. We got a comment coming in from our brother T.O. He's the founder and host of the Light Bulb Lessons podcast, and he says, "Great conversation. The machine will keep on machining." That's true statement right there, brother. Discipline, instant willing obedience to put the device down. Yes, sir. That's spot
shout
on,
out T.O. Yeah.
Shout out to you, man. Miss you, brother. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm gonna let y'all work that. I'm gonna let y'all work that one out.
he know the deadline. I won't take late assignment. No, sir. No,
I
sir.
respect that. But some man that you said, man, I love that, and I don't think that this feels heavy to me because I feel like many need to hear this. So I want to just put it out here real brief and real simple, which I think is simple. And I love what you said about the power of the choice. A lot of times, as men, we don't feel like, I'm speaking for all men. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but generally speaking. I don't think we feel like we have that. We feel like things are being dictated for us. Decisions are being made for us, so we got to just kind of just line up with it, because if we don't, somebody might think we're not a man, or we're not the man that we're supposed to be, or the right kind of man, or what have you. I love the idea that you shared about the power of choice to say yes or say no or say later. So I love that. When I text folks, I'll be honest about it, because I got so many things going on and I'm moving. It's an A-type personality thing. I can't do nothing about that. It is what it is. But when I text, a lot of times, to be honest, I feel like I need a response back, man. I can't wait 72 hours for what I text you about if it's something that requires your response. But I get what you're saying. Everybody's situation is not my situation. Everybody's emergency is not mine. So I get that. But full disclosure, it's not about you guys per se. It's rough. If I text you about, okay, do you want to be on the podcast this week? Do you want the interview to be on this date? Do you want to go out for coffee? That's time sensitive. I need to hear something back within the day at least. For me, within 6 hours is fantastic. I love it. But anyway, that's just me. But on every show, I always ask at least one tough question. I think this might be the one for this show, perhaps. I think everything was challenging, but this is a tough one. Now, as a man, dealing with the digital world and digital age that we're in, talking about disciplines and that kind of stuff, where do your eyes go to when you log into the app? What's the online indulgence that you got to fight against the most? So there's kind of two questions, but the answer is probably going to be one answer, though.
That's easy. I'll jump
on. What's a distraction for you? Yeah,
I'll jump on that one. The DMs, man. DMs immediately. Yeah. I'll be putting together show notes for a podcast, and I'll pop into Podmatch or something to like get a website, off someone's account, and I'll see that little indicator that says, four messages waiting for me, and it's like it's like an alcoholic trying to not have a drink. I'm like, I gotta check the message. Someone's trying to reach me, and especially on a DM, because it's like, okay, someone sent me a DM. It might be Mr. Yu. He needs me to respond right now. So I need to get on that message, man, because the expectation is that we all see it immediately and we all can respond immediately, and no one's too busy. And that is the expectation. It's fair, So when that's what everybody expects of you, it's like, oh, well, if that's one of my coaching clients and I don't respond to them, then maybe they're going to get mad and then they won't want to work with me anymore because I took too long and I'm not giving them attention. That inner battle, oh my God, that inner battle is all day, every day. Every time I open another app, that DM, that message, that blink, it's like, I've got to know now. That's the hardest part. Easy, hands down.
That is tough. That's a tough one, man. Ooh, wow. I'm feeling the weight of that over here. I think I'm guilty of it. That's why I probably.
Me too.
Who else? Who else? Anybody else?
Mine's the doom scroll.
The doom scroll.
I'm generally so disciplined about staying focused on what I'm trying to do, and my time is tight, just like all you guys, right? I've got 4 shows. I produce other people's shows. I've got digital marketing work. I freelance for people. So I've got those clients I'm dealing with. And then I've got my family, right? And whatever my family's involved with, whether my kids are involved with a play right now, or whether it's basketball season or whatever, right? I've got that stuff going on. And so I'm usually so disciplined about just moving from one thing to the next. The only time I slow down is when I sit down with my family to watch a show or two before they go to bed or something. And so, because I normally run 14 to 17 hour days at least, it's so easy for me when I jump on Facebook or Instagram, particularly, because, if you're a content creator, you actually have to get on those platforms a little bit and at least respond to some other people and comment on some other people, or you get no traction anywhere. It's why I have smaller followings on social media, because I don't do what you're supposed to do and jump on LinkedIn and spend 15 minutes commenting on other people's posts. I don't do that. Otherwise, I would have much larger followings. Because I hate those apps. I don't actually like to spend time on them. I jump on, I post, I jump off. But then I'll see something from one of the people I actually care about following on Facebook or something. And all of a sudden, when I jumped on to post, I catch myself scrolling for like 5 or 10 minutes. And then that 5 or 10 minutes goes to an hour is gone, right? Or I'll do the same thing when I'll jump on Instagram to post something and I'll start scrolling. And then it's like my brain goes, I can breathe, I can check out, I can just be numb for a few minutes instead of being focused. And that relief of not being focused, because it's you know it's hard to be focused all the time. You know it's hard to stay on task all the time, right? You have to discipline your brain to do that.
Oh yeah.
And so your brain's like, woo, right? This doesn't actually matter. No one gives a crap. This isn't going to burn the world down. And so I'll start doom scrolling, especially my particular weakness is like politics. I follow way too many politics stuff. And so I'll start scrolling on that, reading about politics, reading news stories. And then it's like, oh crap, I lost 30 minutes or 40 minutes. And I didn't really have that 30 or 40 minutes to lose.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Brent. Mine is reading too much. And that may sound like counterproductive, but I read 50 to 75 articles every day. I'm constantly reading because I'm constantly trying to stay up on current events and talk about those current events as it relates to communication and public speaking. So I'm always bringing new content to the classroom with my students. But man, I spend so much time reading and taking notes, and I could have a conversation with a student and read an article. And now I'm emailing the student this article. Hey, look at this. And I'm like, what am I doing? It does fulfill me though. But man, it can be time consuming, just reading and reading and reading and reading. I'm not always posting or commenting, but I am reading the article, and then sometimes I'm reading the comments at the bottom of the article to kind of get a vibe for how people are responding to what's being written. So that would be my vice is reading too much. And I never thought I would say reading too much it could be a bad thing, but for me sometimes it's not.
Moms and dads around the world are happy. They're clapping. They're celebrating this thing. All right, Aaron, how about you, brother? Anything to add to this?
Man, rounding this out, like I'm probably an equal mix between what Rory said about, reading the messages and the, getting back to people, as someone who's building a business and a coaching business. And, I feel like I have to get back to people. I have to connect, and I'm not being fast enough. And, but then also Brent, man, like I'm doing exactly what you're not trying to do, is like I'm posting content on social media, and then that leads to having to send messages and having to, like scroll on certain things and be an active member on social media. And it's time consuming as hell. The last one though, that really gets me, and I think you guys are going to laugh about this because some of you have been in podcasts with me, is having conversations with people, talking. I will end up in a conversation with somebody and 45 minutes will go by. And all of a sudden I'm like, man, I went to the coffee shop to work and I got an hour's worth of work done. And I sat for an hour and a half in a conversation with somebody that was fulfilling and felt great, but wasted a lot of my time and pushed back my list of tasks that I needed to get done that day, way back to where now I ran out of time. Now I got to go pick up my kids from school and work is secondary because parenting is number one at that point, So for me, it's a lot of being on social media and trying to build that business, but it's also getting caught in conversation. And that's just a part of who I am, and probably why I'm doing this as a job, because it's pretty easy for me to talk.
It's hard to be a coach and not looking at your DMs, man. I don't know how you guys not do that.
Aaron, the valid part of that statement that you made on that, the conversation isn't what you're regretting. It's this push back the to-do list, right? I've never had a real conversation that I regretted spending time on. I understand pushing back on the to-do list though, right?
Yes, I agree with you. I guess for me, I have like a little guilt because it'll be a conversation about someone's dog or something that's not, yeah. And there's fulfillment in that because you have an emotional connection and you're connecting with people and that has value to it. It's just one of those things where I was like, man, I really had an agenda, trying to be disciplined about getting my agenda done. And, and then it just got thrown out the window.
You tried, Aaron. I only have one more question left, but one of our commenters dropped a question and I want us to touch. First off, Angel, thanks for jumping into the comments section and dropping this question for us. Keeps us working, so we appreciate it. Says, as AI becomes more integrated into daily life and people grow increasingly reliant on it, how does digital discipline determine the kind of legacy we leave for future generations? I had a question along that line, but it sort of cutting room and floor now, but you brought it back out, so thank you. I love it. All right, so great question. How does digital discipline determine the kind of legacy we leave for future generations? Anybody want to jump after it?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'll say I heard an analysis about the dangers of using generative AI and how it's going to affect this generation and future generations. And the argument could be framed like this. We are giving people a tool to use and not showing them how to use the tool.
Okay.
And if I give all of you a hammer, it doesn't make you a carpenter. It just makes you a dude with a hammer. And if you find a use for that hammer, you'll hammer screws, you'll hammer everything because that's the tool you have. So the tool of generative AI is not going to destroy the world if we teach young people how to use it, which means we have to jump in and learn how to use it and use it for the right and productive reasons. So I'm not afraid of AI. I embrace it. I'm not going to reject it because people are using it. But if they are using it, I encourage all of us to be inquisitive about how are you doing what you're doing in the AI, and is it giving you what you need it to give you? Which is one thing, again, I challenge my students with. If they want to use AI to help them with an assignment, I encourage them to use it and cite it, but not create. And then I have them physically show me in class on the board what they did with the prompt. And then I could show them different ways of prompting to get various answers and then comparing the results and not just going with the first result that the machine spits out. So that would be my answer to the question.
Yeah. I don't know what the technical name of it is, but I guess it's some kind of AI psychosis type deal where users kind of rely on AI too much. And it goes beyond the technical and just, like trying to form or draft a letter or a resume, and it turns into getting dating advice from AI or trying to understand how to deal with our personal situations. Like, the one thing my AI people need to understand is that it means artificial intelligence, and what we put into it, it basically gives us what we think we want. It's like if you go into Chat GPT, you're never going to hear anything negative about you. It's always going to be spot on. You're the best. The whole world loves your show. The data doesn't say that, but the AI is going to say the whole world loves you. Your podcast is the best in the world. Do this, do that, because you're the greatest. If you rely on that to kind of give you a ego boost and encourage you through life, you got bigger problems than just AI. But as far as the kind of legacy, I want to hear from the rest of you guys. What kind of legacy I think you guys answer that to a degree, but what do you think is how is discipline going to help create the kind of legacy that you think is needed for future generations? What are you guys thinking about that?
Without digital discipline, you will not leave a legacy, period. There is a difference between legacy and memory, right? Okay. You can die and leave no legacy because you were so self-involved, so self-focused, so just not a person who actually interacts with other people or does something to try and make the world better. You can leave no legacy. If you don't have digital discipline, that's exactly what you're going to be. You're going to have no legacy because it will distract you. This is a multi-trillion-dollar industry to steal your attention 24 hours a day. Companies are spending billions of dollars a year learning how to keep you attached to your phone and to your screen. Every social media app, the media companies, the movie industry, period. They're all spending billions of dollars a year mastering keeping your attention. Without digital discipline, you will not leave a legacy because you will not impact the world around you.
All right, who else?
I think that there's actually a way to kind of intermix both what Steve and Brent said. Again, like you said, Brent, this is something, and Yusuf, you said this as well, is like, this is an industry that's not going anywhere. They're spending billions of dollars in AI to maximize that, right? And I think we have a responsibility to try to use that to our advantage. And I say that very intricately because we could easily use it to do all the things and not actually use our brains. Like Steve said, that first initial prompt that you put into ChatGPT does the work for you. Now your brain immediately goes, oh, I don't have to do that work. I have this machine that can do it for me. And it almost turns us into the movie Idiocracy, right? Like there's potential for that. But there's also potential to maximize that and learn how to create prompts that will do the things that will elevate your legacy and elevate. Like I'll give you an example. As a writer, I use ChatGPT, but I don't use ChatGPT to or whatever AI app to write for me. I use it to be a non-objective magazine editor to really push me to be a better writer, to really get in. And I use examples of, famous editors and using all of their style to then critique what my work is and to push me to actually be better at what it is. I spend hours and hours actually working with that as a way to elevate what my writing does. And sometimes it doesn't work at all. And I have to understand, like, okay, this is not working. Like, let's go in a different direction. But I think the key thing is that, what Brent was saying is like, this isn't going anywhere. And if we don't have digital discipline, and we don't have discipline in using the tools, it's going to use us instead. There was a really funny video that went around. I'm sure you guys might have watched it, but it was a video making fun of AI. And what happened was a guy walks into a bodega or like a little market, and the attendant says, hey, how can I help you? And the guy freaks out and he, I don't know how to answer this question. Goes into ChatGPT and says, the guy just asked me, how can he help me? What do I do? And then it gives you, gives a response. And then he reads the response to the person. And then that person goes, oh, he wants, a hammer. And he goes, where are hammers? And then goes into chat, and it's like this whole back and forth that is used, it's using the ChatGPT or whatever AI to answer for us. And I think what makes that video so great is that that's the potential of where we can go, where we don't actually have our own thoughts and our own opinions if we allow that machine to do the work for us.
Copy that. All right, we got time for one more question. Hopefully we can move through it pretty quickly. Then, of course, if we have any desires to share your info with our people so that they can follow you, keep up with you, and put that in the main chat. But here's where I want to end the show. We talk a lot about men supporting other men, collaborating, extending ourselves to other men, and being examples and support to them, because You understand what they're going through. We're talking about being in an over-connected world, like what we're talking about right now, with all the things that challenge us and entertain us. Where's the accountability for you personally in this? I know that so you mentioned your children and them kind of slapping you in the hand saying put your phone down, but beyond that place, are there other men that you have that are part of or symbols of accountability for you, like an accountability partnership to deal with issues like this? Do you guys have that? Do you find value in it? Would you like to do that? Do you hate the idea? Kind of share that real quick, and we got a limited amount of time, so be brief as you can, please. Go ahead. Thank you, T.O.
I think there can be a lot of value to it, but it also depends on the personality of the person, right? I don't use regular accountability partners. There is a lot of value for it. I'm a coach as well, right? So I understand some people need help holding accountability. Some people have things in their life that hold them accountable without having another person involved. So it really is going to boil down to your personality type. Some people need that extra person who is going to call them on it. Some people just have people in their lives who are going to call them out on stuff like this anyway. And so it is really going to boil down to who you are. It's not a bad thing, but it's really going to boil down to a very personal issue of, do you need somebody, or do you actually have people who are going to call you out on things?
Got it. Thank you, sir. Who's next? Real quick, please. Come on. Hurry up.
All right, I'll go. And you, that was a very smart decision of you not to give me the mic talking about AI, because you know how I feel about that stuff, brother. But anyway, as far as this goes, I have an accountability partner, and I have a group where we have accountability partners. And I understand where Brent's coming from, because I have for a long time, I felt like, hey, I'm leading the group, so my accountability partner is the group. But I also believe that every coach needs a coach, and that coach needs a coach, and then that coach has a coach. And at some point, everybody needs a mentor or a coach that they can lean on. And when you become the last guy in the chain, where everybody else is leaning all the way up, and then you don't have anybody to lean on, you're the one who breaks inevitably. I had to kind of put my ego away on that one a while ago and say, all right, I need an accountability partner for myself. And so, it is valuable. It does help. But it also helps on the way back down, then, because you can kind of check your own nonsense, make sure that you're staying on task, especially when you're leading other groups and when you have other people looking to you. So it's essential. In my world, it's essential.
Absolutely. All right, we got like 2 minutes.
Well, my accountability partner primarily is my wife. I learned over the course of 26 years, all the times that I didn't run things by her, it was not right. So ultimately, I go to her. She holds me accountable. Then I have other mentors, peers. Coach T.O. is a prime example. Our 20+ year relationship, we use each other as sounding boards, as sanity checks. So, well said. Every coach needs a coach. Every mentor needs a mentor. We're never too old or wise to stop learning.
I love it. I love it. Thank you guys for jumping in here this morning and doing this. This has been a very interesting conversation. Not quite sure we covered everything, but there was a lot of meat on the bone, and you guys did a great job taking care of this. If anybody that's watching and listening is interested in potentially being a panelist on a future broadcast, or you want to just catch up on all of the shows that we've done so far since June, upper right-hand corner of your screen is a QR code. You got about 30 seconds to grab it. If you're listening and you're not watching, you can get us on all listening platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, etc. We're on all those places, and of course on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn as well. So thank you guys for joining the Men's Roundtable Series podcast. We talked about discipline in the digital world, and it was exciting to say the least. Can't wait to see you guys in 2026. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hope everything's good for you. Thank you guys so much for being here today.